All right, everybody. Well, welcome to our team call tonight. My name is Brigitte Lempert, and we also have the one and only Molly here. So we are so excited to work together and to share with you guys some things that you guys can do to make this business easier for you all. I think as Molly and I talked and connected and we were trying to decide what we wanted to talk about, one of the things that we both mentioned is that our coaches are getting objections a lot this time of year, or even just as they're getting started in this business. But I know for myself, it has gotten so much easier the more I have been in this business. And I feel a lot of that is, yes, the platform that you have that grows with time. But I also do feel that we get better in how we're sharing and how we're talking about this. And so we have some tips that we're going to share with you guys on ways that you can talk about this and present this and share, and some things that will make a difference for you to get less and less objections to those invites that you are sending out. Anything you want to add, Molly?
No, the only thing I'll add is I think you're going to leave this call with a lot of confidence. And if you're someone who is leading a team, hopefully it gives you a lot of confidence to coach them on objections as well.
Yes. Okay, let me come to we've got some slides for you guys because we are visual learners, and so we feel that you guys probably are as well. And so to start us off, I'm going to share the first tip that we both agreed on.
Brigitte, are you there? You're freezing up a little bit.
Oh, dang it.
All right, I'll kick us off, you guys, until Brigitte comes back. Oh, she's back. There we go.
Okay, let me see it doesn't show me, my internet's unstable, but stick with me. Hopefully we're good here.
We're good right now.
Okay. So your attitude and your belief matters in the reaction and the response that you're getting as you're sharing this with other people. I think it makes such a huge difference if we are confident in what we have to offer, in that we recognize that there's nowhere else that people can get the value that we have to offer. I think people are hesitant to send those first couple invites, and so sometimes they're almost even apologetic of like, oh, I really don't want to bother you, but do you want to join my challenge group? Or they're like, you probably wouldn't want to do this. And it's like, don't say that, because what we have to offer is something that they can't get anywhere else. And I think it's important that you're proud of the price, even, that you're not trying to hide that. You're not like, oh, they're going to like shut me down the moment that they hear the price, because there's nowhere else that people can get the workouts for a year and have a personal trainer in their home.
Hey, Brigitte, I don't know if you can hear us, but it's really freezing in and out quite a bit. I don't know if you can adjust your Wi-Fi at all.
Yeah, just 1 second.
It's just kind of spotty. Let me see, you guys, if I don't know if you can play around with any settings.
Yep, 1 second. Okay, is it any better? So annoying.
Seems fine right now. It's just in and out.
Okay. I did switch over to my hotspot here. Okay. Can you guys hear me here?
Yep, we can right now.
Okay. I'll watch the chat bar. I'm going to mute you, Molly, just in case if that helps at all on the reception. Okay. I'm on a different internet source. I'll start over. You guys can write in the little chat bar, because I'll have that open here so I can make sure that we're good here. So what I was sharing with you guys is that our attitude and what we're sharing and the belief that we have in this makes a huge difference in the response that we are attracting from other people. Because if we are confident in what we have to offer and we're like, I know that this is going to make a difference in people's lives, then you want to share it, and you're not apologizing about the invitations that you're sending to people, because you're recognizing that this is a way that they can save money and get a result that's going to completely change their life. the reality is that there's nowhere else that people can get a personal trainer in their home, 30 meals that are like so nutrient dense, and get a meal plan and get that kind of support. I mean, people pay hundreds of dollars a week just for a personal trainer, or hundreds of dollars to have that accountability piece, and they join Weight Watchers and get a little bit of nutrition help, if any, and they can be a part of a community. I mean, what we have to offer is so valuable for people. And so I think it's really important that you're confident in what we have to offer and not apologizing for it. I think that this is also something to recognize, that this is something that grows the more that you are paying attention to the results that people are getting. So this can grow by going to live events, getting to your Super Saturday, getting to Summit, making sure that you are watching those transformation videos that are at Summit. I mean, those are up on YouTube. Those are things that you can watch at any time. I had a new coach call just, I think, 2 days ago. And afterwards, I was sending her some of those Summit videos, because I was like, you've got to watch these to help that new coach get that belief that I had going to Summit watching that video. I mean, I think we all leave these live events and Summit and things like that and feel on fire because we've been reminded of the transformation that comes with the products that we have to offer. I also think it makes a huge difference to get on national wake-up calls. That's another thing that really helps build your confidence and your belief in the value that we have to offer. Now, I included a picture of a woman taking a pill, because to me, I heard the analogy once of, if you had the cure to cancer and it was just a little tiny pill, and you knew that it would cure cancer, and you had a friend who was dealing with that, and she was like, I don't really want to take it. No, I'm not really into that. I'm just going to try my own little thing for 30 days. I'll let you know. You wouldn't be like, oh, okay, no worries. Like, I don't want to bother you. Sorry. Like, you wouldn't back down from that. You would be like, no, listen, you don't understand. This is going to cure your cancer. Like, you would do whatever you could to share that with every single person that you knew would benefit from taking that little pill. And so make sure that you're looking at this as, do you believe that this is going to help people feel better, have more energy, all of that? And if not, then you need to work on your confidence by learning more about our products. And another thing that I wrote down is those Shakeology trainings. I think people hear from Isabel Deichler at Summit or some of the Success Club trips, and they're like, okay, I am so sold on Shakeology, and that's something that you get to share with other people who haven't been there. So watching those videos will also help you with your confidence and your belief.
All right, so another thing that Brigitte and I were talking about is having the confidence to really explain the worth behind what we have to offer. I know a lot of my new coaches, and I got this too, they get the objection of like, oh, can I just do the workouts? Or, oh, you know what, I get workouts on YouTube, I'll just do my own thing. Or I find clean eating plans online. You kind of hear all of these things. And until we really give a sneak peek behind the scenes of what we have to offer, we haven't built that trust with people. So some of the things that I like to do, you guys, I love to share testimonials, screenshots in my stories. And what I mean by that is anytime I get a message from a challenger that says like, oh my gosh, thank you, Molly. Like, I'm down 10 pounds today. My clothes are fitting awesome. Or like this specific one was actually posted in our challenge group. And I just did a screenshot of it and I crop out the name and everything. I usually leave these anonymous. And I'll drop them in my story. And I just put like the yes girl gif along with it. But when you share testimonials like this, you guys, and I try to do one like once a day, I'll just pepper it in there amidst my life and my stories. When you share these, you create social proof so that people really know like you're getting other people results. And it kind of gives them some insight into, oh, like she's actually really helping people. Like someone said this about her. So these are huge. And I will tell you that there was a recent day where I did like 5 in a row because we were sharing like our weight loss day. And so people were dropping in like, I lost 4 pounds, I'm down 8 pounds since we've started. And so I put a lot of them in a row, and I signed up like 3 people that day. So testimonials are huge in showing that social proof. Giving value with nutrition. I find that usually coaches and myself, we don't have any problem putting in like our workout clips, and we put those in our stories every day, and that's kind of fun and glamorous. But the nutrition part, I think, is what a lot of people really, really struggle with, and what they want tips and tricks for. So every Sunday when I'm doing my meal prep, I'll get my phone out and I'll do some like narratives onto what I'm meal prepping that week, and I get so many DMs and questions and requests for the recipes. And you guys, that's trust building, right? Because then they know that I'm living what I'm talking about, and that they can come to me as a resource for that kind of stuff. Obviously, before and after photos, I always advise my coaches to be sure you have a transformation photo in the top 9 of your Instagram feed, so that when someone comes to your page, they can immediately see, oh, like this girl's getting results, or she's getting other people results, and like there's a photo to prove it. And we know that transformations come in all different shapes and sizes. I personally haven't had a huge weight loss transformation, but I share often about the mindset. I share how I've recovered from an eating disorder. I mean, you can share all these different types of transformations in both your stories and your feed. And you guys, that's when I get my signups. Like, transformations are everything, and not just your own, but sharing that you've gotten your your clients' transformations as well, and spotlighting them. Some of you might be like, okay, what if I haven't helped anyone yet? Like, what if I'm brand new and I'm just getting going, and I don't even have my own challenger yet? To that, I say, find a teammate, like maybe a new coach that you started with, or maybe even your upline. Like, you can find someone on your team, someone in this awesome network that will totally be cool with you sharing their transformation and telling their story. And it is huge to do that. The value of a challenge group. So you guys, when we say challenge group and online boot camp, people don't understand what that is. They're like, okay, sounds cool, but like, are you just going to add me to a Facebook group and like dump me in there? And so we have to give sneak peeks into our boot camp groups on our stories and talk about it. And so something I do is I do perfect attendance for my girls every week who have drank their Shakeology and logged their workout for at least 6 days out of the week. And I call it perfect attendance, and I do this post in my challenge group every week. And sometimes I'll toss it in my Instagram story too. Now, people don't understand exactly what it means, but they know like, oh, she's really holding her people accountable to like stay on track. I wonder what that means. And sometimes I'll get messages from this too, like, this is exactly what I need. So really showing the value of a group. And then the last thing is doing challenger shout outs. So this might feel kind of old school, but it works really well for me. And I usually do it on Facebook and then again in my Instagram stories. But I will pick a challenger, usually once a week, maybe once every other week. And I will tell their story along with their transformation photo. And sometimes it's their results in the last year. Sometimes it's their first 2 weeks of the group. But I'll draft up the post and I'll send it to them and, get their blessing first. And usually if you draft up the post and send it to them so they can read it and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, that's so nice. Yeah, you can post that. Not always, but usually. And when I do that, I tag them and then all their followers see it. So it gives them a ton of new confidence, and it gets you more eyes on your page too. So it's a win-win, and it makes that person feel awesome.
And I just have to say real quick that we didn't intend for this to be any kind of social media training, but this is focused truly on the things that we are doing that make it so we're not getting the objections in our invites. And so you'll notice like, okay, there's, mindset, there's things that you can do on your social media, but as you're going through or listening to this call, just pick out 1 or 2 things that you're hearing. You're like, you know what, I am getting a lot of objections lately, but you're right, I haven't been highlighting my challenge groups, or you're right, I haven't been explaining what the challenge group really is, and I haven't been sharing the before and after photos. I know for myself, I really struggled in the month of October, and I didn't hit my goal for Success Club. I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I did that own self-evaluation and realized that, as Molly was sharing about the before and after photos, I was like, I really haven't been on top of that and sharing that like I normally would. I just keep talking about, oh, the mindset transformation and this and that. But the reality is you have to meet people where they're at. And so many people, that is what they want. You know, they don't think, oh yeah, my mindset sucks, but they can definitely tell that I can't fit in my jeans, you know? And so we have to speak to them with where they're at, and showing those before and after photos really does speak to them. And so last month I set a personal goal that I was going to share before and after photos in my stories. For me, for whatever reason, I don't want other people's transformations on my feed a whole lot anymore, but I've been sharing them in my stories, and I've been doing that at least 4 times a week. And in the last month, I had 22 Success Club points. So I went past what my goal was, and had a really strong month. And I do feel it's because I really went above and beyond on making sure I was sharing those before and after photos consistently. Now, this is about another tip that I shared with one of my coaches, and I hope that she's okay that I mention her by name, but one of my coaches, Nicole, she was not where she wanted to be in the business. And she kept telling me, you know, I'm getting objections on Shakeology. Everybody wants to join the challenge group, but they don't want Shakeology. They think it's too pricey. The moment I bring it up, they ghost me, they come out of it. You know, they don't see the value of it. And I pointed out to her, I'm like, well, they don't see the value because you have not yet educated your audience. And so if you are getting a lot of Shakeology objections and hesitations and concerns, and they don't feel that, they're like, take my money, just take my money. If they're not giving you that response, then make sure you are educating them on the value of it. I mean, you went to Summit, you watched the video teaching you about all of the ingredients and why they're so amazing and all that it does for your gut and your brain and your endurance, but they didn't get that. So you need to make sure that you're giving them little breadcrumbs of what the value is in your Shakeology. So that was my advice to this coach. And I told her, same thing kind of that I did. I'm like, at least 4 times every week, I want you to do some sort of Shakeology educational post. And so whether that's a ingredient spotlight, those are the examples that I have because that's what I like to do. I like showing them, look, this is not comparable to your protein shake, Karen. I'm sorry, it just isn't. You know, has way more than just protein in it. So to me, the ingredients is what sold me on it. And so that's what I like to highlight. But for this coach, I know some of the educational posts that she put up were comparing it to a Starbucks. You know, she's like, here's a side-by-side of the peppermint mocha and a drink that's you would get at Starbucks. And obviously this is a better value for your money, and this is what you should get. So she did 4 posts a week talking about Shakeology, educating her audience, and she hit Success Club for the first time ever. And she added 3 coaches to her team, hit Success Club 8, and she had never had that many Success Club points. She had not even hit Success Club before. So I definitely feel that this makes a huge difference in, you know, letting your audience know. I also feel that it helps with retention if you are sharing this information in your challenge groups. So make sure you're doing either an ingredient spotlight or sharing one of the little shorter Shakeology videos that we have from Beachbody in your challenge groups, and just doing it like, okay, every Tuesday we're going to talk about Shakeology and educate them as well so that they stay on the product.
All right, so the next thing you can do, you guys, is if you're hearing a common objection, you can publicly address it in your posts or even talking in video, like one-on-one in your stories. I like to do that a lot because I think it feels really personal. But chances are the objection that you might be hearing is the one that you gave yourself. And so think about objections that you had, you know, prior to starting a challenge group, prior to starting coaching. One that I had was, I'm scared to fail. What if I'm not good at this? What are other people going to think of me doing this? Like that, those were spinning around in my mind as I started coaching. And so I started off this post with, have you ever wanted to try something new, but you've feared failure? I have. And then I talked about when I started this whole thing, I really had thoughts of, what if I'm bad? Like, what if I can't find anyone to join me? What are other people going to think of me? And then I explained how I got through that. And so the point of publicly addressing, you guys, is to really educate and show others that there's a way to get through it and that you were there too. And it creates a lot of rapport and trust when you do this, because people are like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, she was there too, but she got through it. And so I just gave 3 bullet points on how I got through it, and just, some nuggets that you learn as you go. And you can do this. Maybe you were scared to join a challenge group because you had tried a bazillion things and nothing ever worked for you, and how you got through it. Or maybe you were scared to join coaching because you hadn't posted on social media in 3 years. But you taught yourself to get out of your comfort zone and do it. So I know Brigitte has an example too.
Yeah, and we just kind of grabbed ones. It ends up being that the ones that we're sharing with you guys are about coaching, but the reality is it's the same approach for both. Whether you're getting a lot of objections around Shakeology, go back to where you felt. How did you react the first time you heard about Shakeology? Were you like immediately gung-ho? And if so, why? And share that. Or did you have a hesitation, and what was that? Share that. And how did you overcome that? One of the things that you'll hear in training over and over when it comes to objections and hesitations is to use the feel, found method, where you let people know, I understand how you feel because I felt the same way, but this is what I found. So you're relating to them, going over and saying, you know what, I see you, I see where you're at, I'm with you, and then showing them that there is a bridge over here because this is what I found, and then kind of taking them with you to the other side. And you can do that publicly if you're like, you know what, I don't feel I can respond to this person in a message right now and share this with them, but you can do so publicly if that feels out of your comfort zone. And if it's with Shakeology, being like, okay, what are the hesitations that you're getting? Talk about it, talk about how you've made a budget for it and how you saved up for it. I remember when it comes to coaching, one of my big fears was just, what are other people going to think? And so how did I overcome that? And I shared that, I cared more about, what are my kids going to think, about our situation? And that was my greater fear. So yes, it was a fear, but I had a greater fear that I was more responding to. And so I took action. When it comes to Shakeology, I let them know, I was budgeting out every single dime and using the envelope system from Dave Ramsey. And I literally just allocated my money from our budget for food and reallocated it for this. So when people are like, oh, it's so expensive, I'm like, but it's not extra money because you're just reallocating money you're already spending towards something else. It's just getting used to buying a month's supply of meals all up front versus going grocery shopping every week. So I really actually don't feel it's expensive. I don't feel it's extra. I don't feel it's pricey. I feel you're getting so much for it. But anyway, so these are ways that you can address them publicly. Okay. Now we are going to share with you a few things as far as examples to responses that we feel are the most common hesitations that people might have. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that it is completely normal for people to throw up a concern. Our brains are designed to keep us safe, and they're designed to keep us safe by doing what it knows. And so the brain is like, nope, that's new, that's different. We don't know enough about that Shakeology thing. The answer is no. And so it is the knee-jerk reaction, I feel, for everybody until they get enough information. And you want to make sure that you are listening to them, that they feel heard, and that you're connecting with them, but you're showing their brain that there is a solution and a path forward that is into uncharted territory, but it's not scary and it's okay. The other thing that you'll notice as we're sharing these responses is I think it's so smart to assume the sale. You know, when I'm talking with a coach on the phone, well, a prospect on the phone, I'm literally talking to them as, okay, so you're going to be getting in this training, you'll go through this, and then when you start your first challenge group, we're going to do it this way. You know, so I'm already talking to them as if they've already signed up and we're making our game plan. And I do the same thing when I'm talking to a potential challenger. I'm like, okay, so how we'll do this is you're going to be in the group and you're going to press play every day. You will see this. And I'm just talking to them as if like, you know what, I understand this concern that you have, but what you're going to notice is that as you're sharing this, people are actually going to be so supportive of you. So I'm already talking to them as like, you're already a coach and this is how we're going to work through that. The other thing to just keep in mind is that the more sure person wins. And so if they're more sure in their hesitation and concern, then you are sure of the value that we have to offer, they're going to convince you. You know, and maybe some of you have had those coaches come to you and be like, you know what, I don't think Shakeology is worth the price anymore. And I'm like, well, that person just convinced you because they were more confident than you were. And that's why we led with the very first point that your attitude and your belief matters. And it comes through in the responses that you give. So, Molly, I'll let you kind of start us off.
So this is kind of wordy, you guys, and if you want to take a screenshot of the screen, absolutely go ahead. But here's a common objection that I know some of my new coaches hear, and that's, can I just do the workouts? And so you'll hear kind of the feel, felt, found with this response, but here's what I say. I totally feel you on the shakes. To be honest, I felt that same way when I was starting because I've never been a shake girl, and I've never really come across one that I truly felt different with. What I found with Shakeology after drinking it consistently for 30 days is that I really did feel the benefits. My cravings for junk and sweets lessened, my digestion regulated from the prebiotics and probiotics, something other shakes didn't have, and my hair, skin, and nails all got so much stronger and healthier. What I encourage is giving it a try for 30 days since it's more economical to get everything in the challenge pack anyway, and then after the first month, you can evaluate if you want to continue. Most people end up falling in love with it and wanting to continue, but that's totally up to you. And I just say, see how you feel and you can make the decision then. What do you think about that for an idea?
I love that. One thing I think that's so good about her response there is letting them know, like, listen, you can test it out for yourself, right? And try later on. One thing that I just make sure in my responses is letting people know I don't believe in false hope. I don't believe in setting people up for failure. So if someone comes to me and is like, you know, I want to join, but I don't want to do the Shakeology. I'm like, you know what? This is how you're going to get the best results. Like, this is what I know works, and you're coming to me wanting to change. And so that means you need to do something different. You know, you guys can read it. I'm not going to read the screen just for sake of time, but I'm just pointing out to them that, you know, they are not going to set them up for failure. And this is how people are getting the results in the before and after photos that I share. And so nutrition is such a big part of it. It's not a matter of just running around the neighborhood and getting in a workout. And remind them that I wouldn't recommend this if I didn't believe in it. One of the other things I really like saying to people is, are you open to putting it to the test? Because I think people like to think of themselves as open. They don't want to think of themselves as, no, I'm closed. And then also reminding that, like, put this to the test. You know, I dare you to put this to the test, use it every single day. Then you come back and you look at me in the eyes and you tell me you don't feel better. Because I will call bullshit. Like, no way. So I'm just like, I know this is going to change your life. So you just try it out. Let me know how you feel.
I love it. The next one is not in my budget, or Shakeology is too expensive. And you guys, I like to say, I totally feel you. I'll be here when you're ready. But I also, you don't just want to leave it at that, because it's like, well, let's give some education on why the price is what it is, and why this shake is valuable. And so I share, like, how, kind of like Brigitte was saying before, like, it's just an allocation of your dollars. Instead of me getting my lattes like a few times a week and going to the grocery store and buying all the processed crap that's expensive, I started planning my meals. So I was buying less food and cleaner food, and I was drinking a superfood shake, so I wasn't going for the processed crap nearly as much. So I like to share that with them. So, and I like to help them budget too. So you can see my last sentence. What I recommend is setting aside $30 a week, and within a month, you'll have it all set aside to invest in you. And I think that's an eye opener for people too, because they're like, oh, $30 a week. Like I drop that at my work cafeteria every week, and I could just like stop doing that, and I'd be able to buy this challenge pack that I really want to.
Exactly. And one thing that I think is just important is I do, like when I'm responding to people, I'll be honest with you guys, I stand up for it, because I'm like, no, you can walk away from this conversation without purchasing anything, and I'm totally okay with that. But I'm not okay with you walking away from this conversation thinking that Shakeology is not worth it. Like that is not okay with me. So I make sure I stand up for it. In my mind, I'm standing up for it and just making sure, like, listen, if you don't have the money right now, that's totally okay. We can do this when you're ready. I'm totally okay saying that. But if they say Shakeology is too pricey, or, oh, I don't think that, it's worth that money, I do ask them, like, what are you comparing it to? Can I ask what you're comparing it to? Because it's not just a protein drink. It's not, there's just nothing else that you can get that compares to this. It is the most convenient, nutrient-dense thing that you can get. And I just make sure that they remember that they're buying a month's supply of meals up front. Because I do think a lot of people are in the mindset of buying groceries every week. And when I point that out to them, I just feel every time they're like, yeah, you're right. So sometimes they need to wait. And I think that's okay. You meet people where they're at. But I do think it's important that they see the value of it. So we also wanted to share a few responses just with coaching hesitations that people have. So I'll let you take the first one.
Yeah, the one I probably get the most is I could never post on social media like that. And so I tell them, oh my gosh, I get it. Like I was someone who rarely posted on social media before I started this, like maybe my wedding and my honeymoon, life event stuff. And then I share that once I kind of ripped the Band-Aid and just started sharing bits and pieces of my life, not just health and fitness. I kind of peppered that in amidst my life. This all got so much easier. And I tell them, like, it's repetition. So once you start and once you kind of get the hang of it, it becomes a whole lot less scary, just like everything else in life. So after about a month of feeling very out of my comfort zone, right? Because I want them to know, yeah, it is going to be out of your comfort zone, but it does start to become more natural. And I was amazed at all the support, because I find, you guys, that people are, if they give you this objection, they're nervous to post on social because they're worried about what other people are going to think. They're worried about critics, right? And so we are our own biggest critics. I share that with them, and I tell them I was amazed by all the support.
I agree. And another hesitation that I hear often from people is they say, well, I'm just not a good salesman. I don't ever want to like pressure people to do something that they don't want to do. And I'm like, I completely agree. I never want to pressure anyone to do something that they don't want to do. But I think this isn't makeup. This isn't clothes. And I love makeup. I love cute clothes. But I'm just saying, this is something every single person needs. They need it. They don't just want it. Everybody knows when you're sick, you recognize that your health matters above all else. And so you are sharing something that everybody needs. And I just make sure I confirm to them that I'm going to teach them everything that they need to know to not be a slimy salesman, so that they don't feel icky. So you're just reassuring them that, you know what, I got you. It's okay. Just make sure you listen to people. You don't have to be a salesman. You're not going to be convincing people, cornering them to do something that they don't want to do. People want to feel good, and you have the tools to help them. And so I'm just going to show you how to do that in a non-salesy way. So just affirming them.
And then the last one we'll discuss is, I'm just not far enough on my own journey yet. Like, do you guys get this one? I get it all the time. Like, oh, I can't coach. I need to finish this program. I need to get to day 80. I need to lose 10 more pounds, whatever it is. And I just remind them, like, yep, I totally respect that you're wanting to get your own results, because that's important. But the best coaches are the ones who are right there in the trenches with their people. right? A lot of people don't want a coach with like Barbie six-pack abs. They want the coach who's relatable and who they connect with and who's doing this stuff with them in the trenches day in and day out. And so I share that you can teach as you learn yourself. That's what worked for me. And just being on your journey yourself is the most relatable and inspiring thing you can do.
One thing I'll share on this, I didn't write out this response to people, but I did put together a collage of before and after photos from coaches on our team that in their before photo, they had signed up as a coach, you know? And so I'm sharing with people, listen, it is so inspiring for people to follow along in your journey. And I actually think that's to your advantage to sign up right now before you've had your before and after, so that people can be invested in your journey along the way. And so if you don't have that in your big collective team page, it is something where you can listen to those national wake-up calls. And many of them are sharing that, listen, I started as a coach 30 pounds overweight. I can even think of one just recently because she lives here in Arizona, but I did forget her name. But she shared that she was a school teacher, 30 pounds overweight, had the really long commute. And I love that Carl Deichler lately has been sharing the before and after photos on his page of the people doing the national wake-up call. So you have her before and after photo, you have her story. That is one that you can share with people if they ever give you this hesitation. Kate, yes, Kate Schultes, very good. Okay, so we have 2 books that we have both identified are ones that are great tools that really helped us to feel more confident as we're sharing this with other people. And one of them is Go For Now. So just to give you a quick little overview on this program, I'm sorry, not on this program, but on this book, is it's all about this salesman, and he's a clothes, shoes salesman. Think of someone working at Nordstrom, and he has a person come into the store, and he's helping them get the perfect suit and the shirt, the tie, you know, whatever. And this guy walks in and buys the most expensive suit, and he buys the shirt, and then he buys the tie and all of that. And the salesman is just so proud and confident in this exchange that he's having, especially because he has a supervisor that's watching him. And so he's just so proud of himself. And this man buys everything that he recommends, and then he walks out the door. And he goes, and the salesman walks over to his supervisor, and he's like, "You saw that, right?" And the supervisor's like, "What did he say no to?" And the salesman's like, "He didn't say no to anything. He said yes to everything that I offered to him." And the supervisor asked him a question. "Well, then how did you know he was done?" And I just will never forget that story. And it hit me hard because I'm like, you know what? Until we hear someone say no, we don't know if they're getting everything that they want. I had a similar experience going to buy a car very recently. And this guy was all about making sure that we got the best, the cheapest car, most bang for our buck. But the reality is that's not what we wanted. We wanted the car that had the DVD package and the leather seats. And I was like, he didn't even care about what I wanted. He cared about what he thought we should want. And so make sure that you are listening to people. Make sure that you're offering them, okay, well, there's the 3-day refresh. Make sure you're kind of checking that out. Most people like to start their journey with that. When they say yes to your challenge group, are you also inviting them to be a coach, you know, and share this journey along the way? Are you inviting them to also get the recovery drink? I think some people are like, oh, I heard that, got them to say yes. I don't want to, you know, pressure them further or whatever. But make sure you do, because you're not getting them what they want. You're living in a place of scarcity and fear unless you hear that no. But also all around, just be persistent with people and keep on asking on your social media, in your invites and whatnot, because no is just not a scary thing. And if you hear it more and often, then it loses its power. It doesn't become a negative thing in your life. And the reality is you've got to make sure you're following up with people, because most people give up asking for this sale, and it comes on the 5th, 6th, 7th time. And so if you continue saying, you know what, I'm going to go past that no that I get and recognize they just aren't ready right now, then you'll hear that yes. So those are some of the overviews, but it's a short, easy read. If you haven't read the book, I definitely recommend it.
The book that I want to chat about is Sell or Be Sold. But the one thing I want to say, you guys, is there's a difference between being persistent and being pushy. So I don't want you to leave this call feeling like, oh, I just need to like keep poking the bear until they say yes. Like, that's not what this is about, right? But it is about continuing to add value, share nuggets, send a genuine follow-up, so that people know you're there and they know you're that trusted source and that stick and stay kind of person that's not going away. So Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. It is one of my favorites. I read it as a newer coach. It gave me so much confidence in my conversations that I was having with people. And Grant Cardone, I mean, all his books are awesome, but this one is really good. There's a big section on objections in it. And he opens the book by talking about every day we are selling, you guys. And if you're a new coach, you're probably scared of that word, right? Because it's like, no, we aren't salespeople, and that's certainly not what we're leading with. But every day transactions happen, and every day services are exchanged. And so having a comfortable mindset with like, well, yes, for me to help this person, I'm going to help them get set up with this amazing solution that we have to offer. And I'm not going to feel bad about that. When you're parenting your children, there's an influence component, right? In your resume to your employer, you are selling yourself. When you're in a job interview, you are selling yourself. All these different things are transactions of sales, just in different way. It's never about price. So when someone tells you, it's not in my budget, I can't afford that right now, that is 110% not what it's about. It means that we have not created enough value and enough trust yet. They haven't seen enough. They haven't gotten enough information. Because you guys, I've had people who are broke AF somehow scrape up money to buy a challenge pack, like because they believed in it, because of the value that I had been showing month after month. Maybe they didn't do it right away, but they understood the value. And sometimes that does take a little bit of time, but it is truly never about price. And he has a whole chapter on that. And then the last big tip I got from this book is be agreeable, not defensive. So does that mean you have to say, oh, you're right, like Shakeology is too expensive? No, but it's really meeting people where they're at and saying like, hey, I get it. I felt that same way. When you're replying to an objection, you never want to be defensive. You never want to say, oh, no, like totally, like this is the best thing ever. You just don't understand. Like that doesn't make the person feel good. So agree with them and then educate them on what you've learned, just like we talked about earlier. So my final thoughts, if you're not hearing any objections as a newer coach, something is wrong. And you guys, you should be hearing them. And they're good information for you to understand, okay, what do I need to share more about? What do I need to give value more about? And Brigitte and I were talking, we don't honestly get a lot of objections anymore. And that's not to brag, but that's to say kind of what's on the other side of when you stick and stay with this, because time breeds trust. And when you've been around for a while and now our audience can feel the confidence that we have with this stuff and they can see that it works because we've helped a lot of people, and you're going to get there too, but you won't get there until you kind of hear some of these objections and you understand how to respond to them, which leads me to the next point. Repetition is everything. So Brigitte and I, we're not just like better at talking about objections or like better with our responses or better with our words. We've just done it a lot of times. We have heard a lot of no's. We can anticipate them before they even come. So you need to have the conversations to get good at it. So repetition, you guys, it's like riding a bike. You don't figure it out right away, but you need to be in the nitty gritty in order to learn it.
Well, and really, it's very much like learning to drive. So that's why there's a picture of this driver's course, because at the beginning, you're nervous to do that. You're nervous to get in there as a student driver, and then through that repetition, you're like, okay, I can drive and text and, whatever, which you shouldn't be doing. But you just are so comfortable with it because of that repetition. So, and last few thoughts that I have for you guys as well. I put a picture of a farmer because I think it's so important to always stay in phase one, which is sending out those invites, starting the new conversations. Because if you are doing that, you've got, starting the new conversations, you've got doing the follow-ups, and then the people who are saying yes. I know some people will be like, this month, I'm just going to send a ton of follow-ups. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That's the worst thing ever. Because if you're only sending follow-ups this month, who are you going to follow up with next month, right? And you just kind of hit a dry spell. And so just make sure you're always staying in that phase one. You're always talking to people. And if you do so, you're always going to have people who are ready this month to say yes, because you're working through that conversation. They need time to kind of think about this. But I do feel that your energy of desperation sometimes like ruins a conversation and scares people off. Because they're like, why do they need me so bad if this is so great? And it's not that you need them, but you're just like, oh, I really need this person to say yes. And so make sure that you are inviting a good amount of people, whatever that looks like for you. I'm not going to say you have to do 50 a day, whatever, but I do feel that there's strength in numbers, that you're like, you know what? I'm in this for the long run. So when you're ready, I'm going to be here. And if you can't do it this month, I totally understand. I want to make sure you know Shakeology is worth it when you're ready. But if you need to save, that's okay. And but you know that you've got that confidence of, I know I still have people who are going to be in my group because I've got like 50 people I'm talking to right now. And you just have a calm confidence that, you know, they can join you when they're ready. So that is my final piece of advice for you guys. And I just want to make sure you know that this comes with time, but I do feel it's very also quick, you know, as my new coach experienced this last month, that just making a few small little tweaks brought her a big change in that month. And I do feel for wherever you're at, pick one thing, whether that's doing more challenger spotlights or making sure that you are, you know, responding a little differently and not being apologetic when people are sharing this, or making sure that you're sharing your challenge groups. Whatever it is from today's chat, just picking one or two things I think can make a big difference in what the result is that you get this month. Anything else you want to say? Molly, we good?
No, I think we're good to go.
Okay, well, we will share the slides with you with your upline Star Diamond leaders so that they can share that in your team pages, and the recording as well. Thank you all for getting on.
Good night.